Hello everyone, and welcome to the Missing Data lecture. In this lecture, we're going to show a few convenient methods to deal with missing data in pandas. A lot of times, when you're using pandas to read in data, if you have a missing point, what's going to happen is pandas will automatically fill in that missing point with a null or NaN value. Let's go ahead and explore how we can use methods such as drop_NA or fill_NA to actually drop those missing values or fill in those missing values. Let's go ahead and jump to Jupyter Notebook to get started. Alright, here I am at the Jupyter Notebook. What I'm going to go ahead and do is create a data frame. And just like we could create a series from a dictionary, we can actually create a data frame from a dictionary as well. This dictionary is going to have three keys in it. It's going to have key A, key B, and key C. And what these are going to be are columns in our data frame. And then what we can do for the actual data points is pass in a list of values for each key. And those will be the data points for each row in that column name. We'll go ahead and say key A has a list, 1, 2, and then we're going to use np.nan to signify a missing or null value. Then we're going to say for key B, it's going to be 5, np.nan, np.nan, and then finally key C, our third column, is actually going to retain all values, 1, 2, and 3. So it has no missing values. And then what we can go ahead and say is df is equal to pd.dataframe, and then pass in the dictionary D. And then when we check out our data frame, we get this nice looking data frame of columns A, B, and C, and then rows 0, 1, and 2. Note, row 0 has no missing values, and column C has no missing values. And then there's a few missing values here in row B, or column B, and one missing value in column A. Let's go ahead and explore the drop_NA method. A lot of times, you just want to drop missing values from your data set, especially if it's just a few missing values. If you say drop_NA just by itself and call it as a method with closed parentheses, what occurs is that pandas is going to drop any row with any single or one or more null or missing values. Meaning, if any of these rows had a null value in it, one or more, it went ahead and dropped them. If you want to perform this action, but on the columns, what you can do is check out Shift Tab here and notice that there's an axis argument. That means by default, the axis is 0, meaning the operation occurs along the rows. But if you want to do the operation along the columns, meaning drop any columns that have a null value, you can specify axis is equal to 1. And that's going to drop any columns with a null value. Go ahead and see the comparison here. And that means df.drop_NA drops any rows with any null values in it. And then df.drop_NA with axis is equal to 1 is going to drop any columns with null values in it. What you can also do is specify a threshold. And if we go ahead and check this out, we'll say df.drop_NA and use Shift Tab to check out the documentation. Notice that there's a thresh argument. Now what the thresh argument is, it's an integer value, and you will require that many non-NA values in order to not get dropped. For instance, let me go ahead and set the threshold equal to 2. And again, we're just going to do this along the rows. So notice here how we have in row 0, 3 non-NA values. In row 1, we have 2 non-NA values. And in row 2, we have only 1, this number 3, non-NA values. That means if I say drop NA like this, it drops everything but row 0. However, if I set the threshold to be equal to 2 and run this, it went ahead and kept row 1. And basically what that means is because row 1 had at least 2 non-NA values, so 2.0 and then 2, it went ahead and kept that row. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to fill_NA. Right now we just focused on just dropping missing values, but a lot of times you'll want to actually replace those missing values. If we take a look at our data frame again, we have these missing values here. If we wanted to fill in those missing values, we can use the fill_NA method. And this, if we go ahead and take Shift Tab here, has a couple different arguments, but notice it has a value argument. And what you can do here is, as a value, set in your fill value. I'm just going to pass in a string to make it very obvious here what's going on. And notice it was able to fill in that value with whatever value we wanted. In this case, just a string that said fill value. However, a lot of times what you're going to want to do is actually fill in the value of maybe the mean of the column. And you can do that, for example, as such. You can say df of A, so that's my A column, and notice I have a missing point here. I'll go ahead and say fill NA, and I will set the value to the mean of that column. And now that value has been filled as the mean of the value. Now there's a whole philosophy and way of thinking and statistical methods for filling in missing values appropriately. I'll let you go ahead and explore those on your own, since they really depend on what kind of data you're working with. For now, all I want you to be aware of is that there's a fill NA method and a drop NA method. Okay, that's it for now. Hopefully you remember just that these two methods are available for you, and that you can specify what axis you want to perform the action on, as well as the thresh argument and the value argument. All right, thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.